Premier's Picks as we bring on the Premier of the province, Brad Wall. Brad, how are you today?
Very well, Jamie. How are you?
I'm well. I'm going to ask you the question that everybody's been asking you this week. Are you putting your hat in the ring for the VP of Football Operations, General Manager, Head Coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders?
Don't you have to be bilingual for that job?
We heard you speak French.
Yeah, I know several words. My accent's pretty good on the words too.
Yeah. I love the way you answered that question from Lisa Laflemme the other night on CTV.
Well, who doesn't want Don Martin's job? Honestly, he's got that hour-long show, and he's on hiatus for 6 months a year.
Yep.
It's kind of like the Green Zone. You guys work a couple hours, you cash the big
Actually, it's more like the Fan Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Where they do the 3 hours during the game for the season, and then it's like, okay, we're taking the winter off. We'll see you next season. And Gary and Scott just go home and study for 6 months.
They study. I know they do that to get ready for the next season.
Yes, absolutely. Premier Wall with us here on the Green Zone for Premier's Picks. The games this week, by the way, are Montreal-Toronto, Hamilton, BC, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Edmonton against Saskatchewan. So send in your text at 306-306 with the four winners. And the Premier and the fans went with the same picks last week, and 4 for 4. Premier Wall.
Finally, the Rock has come back to Philadelphia. Sorry for that obscure wrestling. But yes, finally it happened, 4-0. And I just want to say to Gary, the King, who's now at 34 and 35, I think.
Yep.
And I'm at 32 and 37. Yes. I just want to share with him that objects in his rearview mirror may be closer than they appear. I'm coming for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to do the math. No, you're not officially eliminated from winning the entire thing, but the race is on with the Fan Zone.
Yeah.
There's still a mathematical chance the Premier can win Premier's Picks this season.
But I pick the Riders every week.
Yes.
Full-on rebuilding mode, so it's going to be tough. Because I'm betting, Jamie. If you cared about people, you might just join me in that. But I'm betting that you won't pick the Riders every week.
You play to win the game, to quote Herm Edwards.
That's right, Herman Edwards.
We're asking with the Green Zone question of the day, if you could travel back in time, as the province of Saskatchewan, do you know of any hoverboard technology that's coming through, by the way?
No, but there sure has been a lot of talk about DeLoreans on Twitter and everywhere else. There was a guy...
Including your tweet the other night, by the way. Someone saying they were going to get you out of office on Election Day, even though it was a federal election rather than a provincial election. But, yes.
No, they needed the DeLorean. There's a guy in the gallery in the legislature today that apparently had one. He was a guest there of an MLA that has one in a shop somewhere in Buchanan. So they're around. I don't think they've got that... What was that nuclear fusion machine that was on the back of that when it came back? Yeah. Isn't it hard to? I know the question you're asking everybody, and doesn't everyone agree that this is a very difficult question? I can think of I would love to see the Raiders and the Washington Redskins again. Mark, I would love to see that. I would. Even 2013 wasn't that long ago. I'd go back to that game. Bobby Orr's goal against the Blues.
Mm-hmm.
Where, it's a great question. It makes you think of all these amazing events that you never saw in person that you'd love to. Well, the 13 Grey Cup, I was lucky enough to be there, but these other things, just sort of vaguely remember them on TV.
I had one, and it's in the Green Zone Daily Dozen. I picked my personal 12, and one of them was Monday Night Football 1987, Bo Jackson v. Brian Bosworth.
Yes, you know what? I'd be all over that one too.
How do you Raider fans know? As soon as he mentioned the date, Premier Wall, you knew what he was talking about.
Lately we don't have much.
Yeah, I guess.
Thing, Dale. So we kind of live in the past a little bit.
What other
Davis movie? They say there's that fine line between genius and whatever that other thing is, and so most of our memories come from before he crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
He started making questionable calls on the personnel side of things.
But there's one other thing I wanted before we get to the picks, and it was quite an interesting. A podcast to say. I don't know if you've heard about this. I imagine you may have, which was Brock Lesnar joining Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Stone Cold. It's a wrestling podcast, and Brock Lesnar, who spends some time in Saskatchewan, of course, they're talking some country music. Here's a clip from the Stone Cold podcast.
I like hearing young guys coming up in the country world too, and I came across this kid out of Saskatchewan. He's out of Swift Current, Saskatchewan. A kid by the name of Coulter Wall. To me, he grasped me from the very first time that I listened to his record, and I haven't let go of it since. I've been listening to it every single day.
Now, how cool is that?
It is incredibly cool. I mean, it's first of all, everybody knows Brock Lesnar and his Saskatchewan connection, but Stone Cold Steve Austin's kind of nodding right along. I've absolutely seen the clip, and Brock Lesnar has he's been great to Coulter. My observation would be, whatever the wrestling persona, this is just a great guy. He really likes his music and has been trying to help him out. And I think Coulter's Twitter follower numbers have literally exploded because he's been tweeting out some stuff, and just genuinely likes his music and wanted to kind of give him a hand up. So it's all very, very pretty surreal. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a very talented young man out there in Swift Current, and of course he was at the Regina Folk Festival warming up the act before the Sheepdogs, and that was the first time I got to see him live, and it was just great.
I think it's Gary that's spreading the rumor that, I mean, his first hit was, not a hit, sorry, his first release, we can't get ahead of ourselves. His first single that he wrote was a song called The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie. I think Gary was spreading the rumor that he wrote the song about his dad. Pretty sure he did.
I was going to ask you how you felt about that, the title of that song, because I just...
It's a Robert Johnson take. It's a takeoff on that story of blues great Robert Johnson, so it has nothing to do with politics.
Premier's picks here on the Green Zone. Let's get to those selections. Is Gary here?
Of course I'm here.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Mr. Premier, it is true. I'm sorry that I was spreading those terrible rumors.
Yeah.
But the WWE universe, you guys, is so huge that's bigger than any plug you could ever get anywhere else. The WWE universe reaches like 6 to 8 million people.
Well, and they seem to be, I mean, they're downloading and following, and, especially if Stone Cold says so, as he says.
Those are two of the biggest names in all of wrestling, and he got a huge plug from both of them, so that's just awesome, and I was blown away when I saw it, too. That's great stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Let's get to the selections. So the first game on Friday, there's two doubleheaders, Friday and Saturday. It is Montreal in Hamilton against the Toronto Argonauts at Tim Hortons Field.
Wait, next season cannot come soon enough.
Premier Wall, who you got?
I'm going with the Argonauts, the Vagabond Argonauts, looking for a home.
Gary Nickel.
Yeah, I think the fan zone's going to have to go with the Owls just because we like to mix it up.
The Owls.
Right. Well done. Good choice.
Thank you.
Very good choice. I'm going with the Toronto Argonauts. Game number 2 in BC is Hamilton against the BC Lions. Premier Wall.
Oh, I think I'm going to go with the Lions on this one.
BC in a bit of an upset over Hamilton. Gary Nickel.
And I'm going
I have to do something.
Well, you sound like me now, Mr. Premier. Be careful there. The fan zone will take the Ticats.
I'm also going with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I'm going with the obvious ones, although it pains me to do so because 3 of them are on the road, including the next one, Ottawa, the Red Blacks against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Jamie, you've got to do this. This is the prevent defense you're running here, and I understand that you got a big lead. And I'm going to go with Ottawa.
Gary Nickel.
I will also go with the Red Blacks.
Ottawa Red Blacks, all capitals. You have to yell it. As with the final game of the week, we know the selection. Premier Wall, the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeat the Edmonton Eskimos.
Riders.
Gary.
In support of the Premier, I will also take the Riders.
No chance. I'm going Eskimos on that one.
That's why we're the fan zone.
Let's do quick. Raiders Chargers. Jamie, what do you think? Honestly, don't put your particular silver and black hat off. Raiders Chargers.
Where is this game, in Oakland or is it in San Diego?
I think it's in San Diego.
But their running game, Melvin Gordon, has been pretty woeful. I'm going to go with the Raiders, actually.
Kind of got the fumbleitis. Me too. Yep, good.
Going Raiders.
All right.
So can I take the Chargers then?
No, no. You don't get the Chargers. No chance.
Okay, that's
You're
fair.
not making up the point. Premier Wald, have a great week. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
There is the Premier of the province, Brad Wall, here on the Green Zone on Premier's Picks. And now you can send in your 4 winners as you're up against the Premier. It is Montreal against Toronto, Hamilton against BC, Ottawa against Winnipeg, and Edmonton against Saskatchewan. Text 306-306 with your 4 winners here on 980 CJME.